Well, there's some more distressing news, and I don't think that's too harsh a word to use when you consider a new Ipsos survey for MNP has discovered and or revealed half of all Canadians are $200 or less away from being unable to even cover their monthly bills and debt payments. Want to take a bit of a deeper dive into this because, again, you'd think with interest rates going down, and they have been for a while now, things might be getting better. This survey shows the opposite. Olivier Boyd is a Montreal-based licensed insolvency trustee with MNP. So, Mr. Boyd, first of all, thanks for being here this afternoon. Second of all, what else did we discover here in this survey that your company actually had done?
Well, a lot of people in the sentiment towards fear of loss of job is increasing as well. We've seen the employment rate go up all around, and I think more or less people are feeling a sentiment that their own employment might be at risk. So that kind of puts a lot of pressure, no matter how you slice it, towards how you're going to be able to make ends meet if you happen to lose your job in the very near future. That's one of those takeaways from the survey, and also obviously inflation. Yes, interest rates are going down, but the net impact of those reduction in interest rate will take some time to trickle down in the economy. So it doesn't change the fact that grocery bills are getting higher, rent is higher, and money just keeps flowing out without any much increase towards your income. So at the end of the day, people are definitely struggling now more than before.
So perspective is important. You look at a number like this and you think, I thought things might be getting better. Interest rates aside, if you think back just a few years ago to the pandemic and those related effects, has it been getting worse and worse every year?
Pretty much. And also, I mean, a lot of people have been able to save up during the pandemic. So even though we were in the middle of a pandemic, the insolvency filings were declining because, people weren't spending as much. You had government support and everything else. Now that dried up and people's saving are drying up due to inflation, now a lot more people are struggling with the fact that since everything else is going up, they are having a lot more issues or trouble ending at the end of the month to pay up all their bills.
I will point out, by the way, I said half of all Canadians. It's actually worse in Quebec than any other province, right?
Correct. And people in Quebec are feeling that they would need an even bigger reduction in their interest rate to feel less pressure. So there's definitely an impact there that they have a sentiment that the reduction in interest rate will trickle down and help them make ends meet to meet their burden of either their line of credits or even their interest payments on their credit cards. But it will definitely take some time for that to materialize and have an impact on their lives. And that was one of the biggest takeaway, was that Quebec was really a standout by pointing to the fact that the reduction in interest rate would have a greater impact on them than on the rest of the country.
Yeah, and by the way, if I read this right in the report, it's not just a matter of going up a little bit, from 1 month to the next. It's a 13-point increase just in the last quarter in the province of Quebec from people who are looking at a situation like this right now.
Correct. And the number of filings of insolvency in Quebec have increased in the same manner. So it's not only we see a sentiment, but it's also being reflected on the number of insolvency filings. So people are taking actions to try to mitigate and try to make come to an understanding with their creditors because they can't at the end of the day. They need to be able to feed their families and get to their employment. And without help, a lot of those people would not be able to sleep very well at night. So,
yeah, for sure.
Fortunately, licensed insolvency trustees are there, and we help Canadians and Quebecers land back on their feet once their situation is improved, and by coming to an agreement with their creditors.
Okay, can I ask, when you deal with people going through situations like this, insolvency specifically, are you hearing a consensus? I mean, is there one common cause here more often than not?
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I would say from my experience, a lot of people will start facing financial difficulties mostly after a breakup, whether it's separation, divorce, whatever the case may be. That's probably the most common cause that I hear. And you can circle that back to housing. I mean, who right now with an average income can make ends meet and paying rent the way it is right now in the Montreal area all by themselves? It's very hard. So it's even harder now. And if people separate, divorce, whatever the case may be, that's one of the most influential drivers of what will bring people to come and see us at the end and try to figure out how to land back on their feet.
I will point out one thing in here as well, and maybe this is even perhaps worse, is the fact that as bad as things have become, and I mentioned the difference from last quarter just to this quarter, at least in Quebec alone, it also says in this report, in the survey, that nearly a quarter of those surveyed say they expect their situation, so their debt situation, is actually going to be worse a year from now.
And you can circle that back to the fear of unemployment as well. So if you think that your job is at risk, you're definitely not in so much a better mind space to figure yourself out that your situation will improve. So that sentiment of fear of losing your job definitely reflects itself to how you're going to see your financial situation down the road. When employment keeps creeping up, although it has decreased a bit in December, there's still a trajectory right now where unemployment is going up all across the board. So people are seeing their neighbors, their friends and families being put on notice or a situation like that, and definitely you reflect back on your own situation, wondering if that's going to happen to you in the next coming months.
I would just ask as a final question, if you have, given that you deal with this on a regular basis, is there one piece of advice that you can give to people who are sitting here going, I can't see myself, being able to continue to deal with this, and it's only going to get worse? What's the advice you give people like that now we're in that situation?
First advice, just go down your bank statements and credit card statements and just review what is actually a lot of people have no idea how much is going out automatically in their bank account, whether it's subscriptions or payments, and really ask yourself whether or not you really need those expenses. Once you do that exercise, and no matter how you slice it, you can't make ends meet and make those minimum payments or see yourself getting out of debt, well, it's definitely to call a licensed solvency trustee and try to review whether rebalancing the books and reviewing your debts with us or with a licensed solvency trustee will help you get out of it and get out of the circle of debt that most Canadians are in right now.
Olivier Boyd at the Montreal-based firm MNP. Thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.